All rise, the International Criminal Court is in session. Please be seated.
Could I ask officer to call the case?
Thank you, Your Honor. The court is sitting in the situation in the Republic of Mali, in the case of the prosecutor versus Ahmad Al-Faqi Ahmadi.
Well, thank you, court officer, for calling the case. Now I now call for appearance by counsel, and please introduce yourself and your representative client for the record. May we start with the prosecution?
Good morning, Your Honors. My name is Ananda Saputra, and I am the senior trial lawyer for the prosecution. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for the prosecution. Now for the defense, please.
Good morning, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen, members of the court. I am Alisya Nur, main counsel of Mr. Ahmad Al-Faqi Ahmadi. I have the honor to be before you to defend Mr. Ahmad Al-Faqi. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Now, any other appearance? No? Okay. I'm Judge Jeremias. And on my right judge is Dinda, and on my left judge is Alvina. For the record, the chamber was informed just last Friday that victim application have been received by the registry. Now turning to agenda items for today. The counsel of the defendant, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. We will present before your honorable court our oral comments, which may last 45 minutes to an hour and a half. We are presently discussing with one or two witnesses the possibility of their venue to present testimonies before your chamber, and your court has taken into account or may take into account in the future. The reason we have explained it in our request to delay the commencement to the beginning or the end of August. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you so much, counsel. So we note the period that will be needed for your oral submission. As we get the commencement date of the trial, we will address that shortly today.
The parties have responded that this date should be pushed back to 25 August because the defense counsel's obligation at other tribunals, the availability of certain prospective witnesses, including arrangement for their protection, and waiting to start the trial after the conclusion of Ramadan.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, let us just turn to the matters. I want to ask prosecution. Can the chamber treat the material on the list of evidence as having been presented by the prosecutor and accepted by accused for purpose of determination under Article 65?
Yes, absolutely, Your Honor. All the advice that we have disclosed within the list of the evidence support the confirmation of charge and this material which we submit for your examination. The defense can confirm.
Okay, thank you so much, counsel. Now for the defense.
We agree based on our consultation with the prosecution, Your Honor.
So now I want to ask the defense, have you fully explained about the consequences of admission of guilt to the Mr. Al-Ahmadi?
Yes, sir. We already informed Mr. Ahmadi about the consequences of his statement.
Okay, thank you. The chamber will refer back in due course to set the commencement of the trial, noting the submission of the parties here today. Thank you very much.
Rise. All rise, the International Criminal Court is in session. Please be seated.
Good morning, everyone. May I ask officer to please call the case?
Thank you, Mr. President. The situation in the Republic of Mali in the case of the prosecutor versus Ahmad Al-Faqi Ahmadi. Case reference ICC 01 12 01 15. For the record, we are in the open session.
Thank you for today agenda is the reading of the charge. I speak Mr. Al Ahmadi in accordance with Article 64, 8A of the Rome Statute. The charge will 12 now be read to you. The court officer is now requested to read Section B of the operative part of the decision on the confirmation of charge.
Almadi is criminally responsible for the war crime of directing an attack, as set out in Article 8(2)(e)(4 of the Statute in Timbuktu between approximate 30 June 2012 and 11 July 2012. He intentionally direct an attack against buildings dedicated to the region and historic monument, which were not military objective as follow. The Sidi Mahmud bin Omar Muhammad Akwid Mausoleum, the Sheikh Muhammad Mahmud Al-Arawani Mausoleum, the Sheikh Sidi Al-Mokhtar bin Sidi Muhammad Al-Kabir Al-Konti Mausoleum, the Alpa Moya Mausoleum, the Sheikh Muhammad Al-Mikki Mausoleum, the Sheikh Abdul Qasim Atauti Mausoleum, the Sheikh Sidi Ahmed bin Amr Ar-Gadi Mausoleum, the Sidi Yahya Mosque, the Door, the Bahabar Babadi Mausoleum, and the Ahmed Fulani Mausoleum, but adjoining the Zigaraibar Mosque. He is criminally responsible under Article 25, verse 3A as a direct perpetrator, Article 25, verse 3B for soliciting and inducing the commission of the crime, Article 25, verse 3C for facilitating the commission of such crime by aiding, abetting, or otherwise assisting, and the Article 25, verse 3D for contributing in any other way to the commission of such crime by a group of persons acting with a common purpose.
Okay, thank you so much, court officer. The court will now proceed to inquire whether the accused wish to make an admission of guilt or plead not guilty. Mr. Al-Mahdi, please rise.
Your Honor, I have to say that I plead guilty. Your Honor, I had made statement and I do not know if this right time to read it.
Let me confer with my colleagues. Yes, you can read your statement. The time is short.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor. Your Honor, distinguished member of chamber and ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with a deep regret, with a great pain I had to enter a guilty plea. I would like to seek the pardon of the whole people of Timbuktu. It is my hope that in accordance with the noble Islamic principles to be able to forgive me and accept my regret. I think if they were to do this, then they would have fulfilled the words of God, where in the Quran, where we sing, those who forgive, then they will be rewarded by the Almighty. If I was influenced by a group of defiant people from Al-Qaeda and Ansar Din, and if they were able to influence me to carry me in their evil wave to action that affected the whole population. In conclusion, I would like to give a piece of advice to all Muslims in the world to not to get involved in the same act I got involved, because they are not going to lead to any good for humanity. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. The court now proceed to ask you some question. Mr. Al-Mahdi, do you make this admission of guilt voluntary of your own free will?
Yes, Your Honor. This is a voluntary admission from the bottom of my heart.
Okay, did you fully consult your counsel before signing the agreement and making your admission in court today?
Yes, Your Honor. I had consulted with the counsel.
You understand that the crime you admitting guilt can carry a maximum term 30 years and can also order a fine of fortune and reparation for victims?
Yes, Your Honor. I've understood that.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmadi. May I ask my colleagues if they have any question?
Yes, sir. Sir, have you changed your mind about your religious conviction? Because if your religious conviction have not changed regarding the destruction of cultural and religious building, this means that as soon as you have opportunity, you will do the same thing again.
If you review my former statement, you will see that I was asked by my leader to destroy them, and I was under their authority. I had to undertake this campaign of the destruction. For answering that question, I commit myself not to undertake such action again, as it will cause damage to others. Thus, I believe that by doing that, I do not change my belief. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Almadi.
Okay, thank you. Well, Mr. Al Ahmadi, so as our agenda today is examination of evidence and hearing the witness from prosecutor. So please, prosecutor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to show the experience that we had college. First of all, I want to clearly that my Mr. Almadi are come from Timbiku region. Second, he ensures he was present at every single site the death targets and destroyed. You can see him in the video clips present, uncertainly holding his patient. You can also hear his completely and rapidly attempting to justify the crimes by retesting his self the eliminate and all things he labeled and inepted to Timbiku. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You can continue the evidence you have.
First, I must say that our armed conflict started in January 2012 in North Mali and has been controlled the area for 3 months before they fought in January 2013, faced by Mali army supported by France force. During the period, Ansar Dine and Akim infringed the law the power of the people of Timbuktu by violence by creating Islamic religion police. The second, I will show the advance about the attack the Muslim. In the case, we have varied evidence such the Muslim history, satellite image which show us before the and after, and a live photograph. In this video you will see.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ananda Saputra, as a prosecutor, may I ask you to convey briefly.
Yes, Your Honor. In this video, you will see Mr. Al-Ahmadi with PKS destroying a mosque. For the advance, we also have report about geolocation, and that's the video which described June and July 2012 from expert. The first graph, the day attack in Muslim of Sheikh Muhammad Al-Mahmud Al-Arawi. They arrived at the location at 8 a.m. in the morning. About 100 armed men, including members of the Hizbans and members of the Islamic police or of the armed battalions. The discussion lasted 2 hours and there's only preached the rabbins. We left behind after the Muslims were destroyed. After destroying two first Muslims, all Ahmadi other attacks went to the Sidi al-Akbar Grams, which were part the Sidi al-Muhtar Muslims. It happened to same the around 10 a.m. in CD al-Muhtar Muslims. Mr. Al-Ahmadi said, if a thumb a higher than other, it has the bulk of the ground. We are going to wipe on from the landscape all that does not belong there. That show in the video that on the same in the afternoon, the attract when the tried chemistry, the alpha chemistry. The evidence gets showed at Mr. Ahmadi and other members the group which were present destroyed Alpha Museum and attract less until sunset. The next day, an activities conscience and the turn on the Saint Cemetery, which the location to the southeast of the city near the military camp that the attract. This cemetery has the Muslim Sheikh Mus al-Namiki, Sheikh Abdul Qasim Authentic, and Sheikh the Sidi Ahmed bin Amar already Muslims. Mr. Al-Ahmadi is confident from the discussion of mosque in Sidi Yahya Muslims, as the can be is the map, in the map. In this video, we can see that Mr. Al-Ahmadi pulling the door with the own hands. The case took place around 2 July. Less than 10 days later, the other Muslims, Babner and Ahmed, when are the desert Muslims, were attacked around 11 July 2012, around 11 a.m. in the morning. Your Honor, the video has been slow. We know Mr. Al-Ahmadi is the supervisor of the operation and he already confirmed the procedure at the physical participant in this question. So I was said the participant chamber of Mr. Al-Ahmadi are against the article 25.3.A, 25.3.B, 25.3.C, and 25.3.D of the statute. About the evidence, we had already sent the soft copy of the chamber and the different. Thank you, Your Honors.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ananda Saputra. So the next agenda is hearing the prosecutor witness. How many witnesses you will present in this courtroom?
Only one witness, Your Honor.
The prosecutor is ready with the witness.
We are ready, Your Honor.
All right, let her in. Okay, Miss Alisya as a witness. Good day and welcome to the court. You are going to testify before the International Criminal Court, Miss Alisya, and we will now ask you to make the solemn undertaking under Rule 66.1. There is a card in front of you with a solemn undertaking to tell the truth. Please read out the card for the court. Please read it loud. Thank you.
Thank you, judges. MLI OTP P0431. I solemnly declare that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Alisya. The prosecutor presents this witness to provide expert testimony on Mali's cultural heritage. Any objection from the defense about the witness?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Alright, let me explain about protection do you get according in decision 133. There are first, face and voice distortion. Second, there will also be the use pseudonym. Third, when you are being asked about your identity, we will get in private section, so your identity will not be revealed. One more, Miss Alisya, we want you to speak moderate or slowly to allow interpretation anything you say. It's clear?
Yeah, it's very clear, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Alisya. Before we start, let me remind you that we are in public section. I want to ask you about your background that we will discuss in private section. Was I clear, ma'am?
Yes, sir. It's very clear to me.
So let's we begin. I suggest that we move to private section for 20 minutes. Please proceed, court officer. Okay, we are already in private section. I will ask you about your bio. Please respond clearly and slowly. First, what is your name?
My name is Professor Dr. Alisya Ivanna.
Okay, when and where are you born?
I was born in Bamako, 13 April 1982.
Okay, your religion is Muslim, right?
Yes, sir.
Where do you live?
I live in Akhabatru, Bamako, Mali.
Okay, can you tell us about your education background?
I was born in Bamako, Mali. I got my bachelor from Université de Sigle, my master and doctoral degree in the Science Juridiques at Politique de Bamako.
Okay, I often see you in court. How many times have you been witness in ICC?
Not much, Anna. I think just 2 times, and that was about Malian culture, yeah, Anna.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Now we can move to public section. All right, Miss Ananda. Sorry, I was finished, Mr. Prosecution. Now it's now your turn.
Thank you, Your Honors, Mr. Witness. Let me remind them we are now back into public section. You mentioned earlier the Malian culture heritage is important because of the diversity and quality. Can you tell us what they are?
Okay, if one were to talk about the social function of Mali cultural heritage, one would say that the cultural heritage, broadly speaking, is part of education of the upcoming generation. It also contributes to providing social, ethnic, and ethic, as well as educating the people on their history. Heritage, cultural heritage is one word, is part of socialization of the people. So for each of the item of the people cultural heritage, you can always find a relationship to community, a link to ethnic with a link to cultural identity as it emerged for within a people. Cultural heritage also is a vehicle through which the value of the community can be recognized. Therefore, heritage is of genuine importance when one considered how societies function, to the extent that it contributes to the socialization of a people, to the people identity, and to the furtherance of the value and the value system of the people, touching on matters such as ethic, education, history, and what have you. Therefore, its aspects of the cultural heritage can be seen to the function along the lines I have just described.
Can you tell us what role Timbuktu played in sphere of Muslim in the region?
Timbuktu play a role in this dissemination of Islam in the region can be said simply to have been a very important role. You see, at the point in history, Timbuktu crystallized a high level of dissemination of Islam because it has universities in the early times of history, and it became a center for training and education in Islam. Most of those scholars were saints. They were one who spread Islam throughout the West African region. Timbuktu therefore continues to play the roles through the rich documentary materials that was left by the scholar, and I referring here to the famous manuscript.
Thank you very much, Miss Alisya. Your Honor, I think that's enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ananda. Now is defendant your turn. Do you have any question for Miss Alisya?
Yes, Your Honor, we do have question. Ma'am, can you tell me who had responsibility to maintenance of the Muslim? Are they descendant of the saint or any family that acquire a right to maintenance?
As far as I know, the family that have the right maintains to the Muslims is the person who have a link to the saint.
Thank you very much. For us, the defendant, I think we have enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, defendant. Now I think my colleagues have a question. Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, can you tell me, is the family who take care of the mausoleum receive any money?
I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't have any knowledge to answer that question. But as far as I know, often the family and the government hold a charity event to get money to maintain a museum. Thank you.
Can you tell us what people feel about the reconstruction of the Muslim?
They feel happy and feel enjoy to hear that, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for your question, Judge. So at this my point, Miss Alisya, and behalf of the chamber, I thank you for coming here today to assist the court and for answering the question put to you. For tomorrow agenda, we will hear the resume at 9 o'clock. Thank you.
All rise. All rise. The International Criminal Court is in session. Please be seated.
Court officer, please call the case.
Thank you, Your Honor. The situation in the Republic of Mali in the case of the prosecutor versus Ahmad Al-Faqih Al-Mahdi, case reference ICC 01/12/01/15. We are in open session.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. As I said before, that today agenda is hearing this resume from prosecutor. But before that, we want to hear testimony from the representative of victim. Please, you can start now.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Denintya of the Congo Bar Association, which defend the victim for international crimes. I would to start by tendering my apologies to the chamber and to all the courtroom for my late appearance owing to circumstances beyond my control. Mr. President, Your Honors, I'm the spokesperson for the victims of Timbuktu. I am the 15th voice of the monuments and mausoleums stolen here on behalf of these victims, the voice which carry pain of their pain. Your Honor, for today, I raise 3 questions. First, what is relation between the mausoleum and the victims? Second, how did the victims feel after the destruction of mausoleum in 2012? Third, the impact of the destruction in 4 years later. Your Honor, I must convey to the chamber that all the victims of the destruction had the same answer. All of them had said the same answer. For example, victims said that I was overwhelmed, I was powerless, I was unable to act. All the victims of the destruction suffers mental illness and morality loss. Before the destruction, The people of Timbuktu always visit the tomb of saint. There they pray for the saint and for people of Timbuktu. They teach their child and or their relative to remember the saint by praying for them and maintain the tomb. The other impact is financial damage. The people near the mausoleum that I had interviewed said that they had financial and morality loss. It because many victims earn money for living from tourists and the pilgrimage activities in the area. Now we can see, Your Honor, and the people of Canberra, the tourism the tourism activity and pilgrimage are significantly decreased. We can see that the tourism activity is decreased than the month before the destruction. The pilgrimage is significantly decreased compared the months before the destruction. Your Honor, the mausoleum which has been destroyed is few of many UNESCO cultural heritage. That means the people of Timbuktu, the world must protect the site at all costs. But one of our people in Timbuktu, Mr. Al-Mahdi, ruthlessly destroyed the mausoleum. He made the man, the woman, the child suffering mental illness and morality loss. We want to protect the mausoleum, but they had an army and a gun, said victim. They want to try to protect the mausoleum, but they are too afraid. They are too weak, Your Honor. Your Honor, and people in Canberra, because of Mr. Ahmadi, we don't know how to survive as usual because all of financial and morality loss that we suffer. We want Mr. Ahmadi was punished severely. Thank you, Your Honor, and people of Chamber.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Denintya. So, Mr. Ananda, do you have any question for Ms. Denintya?
No, Your Honors. Thank you.
Now, the defendants, any question for Ms. Denintya?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, the judge doesn't have any question too. Thanks for Ms. Denitya. So we'll hear the resume from you, Mr. Ananda, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Situation in Republic of Mali in the case of Al-Ahmadi. As in every criminal case, determination of the apartheid stand in the case requesting a careful balancing of the relevant factor. The prosecution submit that the war in direction and attack against building decided to religion and historic monument in the very nature serious. The attack in the case was the particularly grave given the religion's historical and cultural significance of the building attack and the perpetrators' motivation of the religion discrimination. It is also clear that Ahmad al-Afaki al-Mahdi played an essential role in the commission of the crime, acting with full intent and knowledge, and this merits a significant stand of imprisonment. At the same time, the responsibility for the action has agreed to make an addition of guilt and already admit the fact in the crime in the detail. He was provided corporation the criminal undoubtedly warrant mileage of the sentence. On balance, for the reason of the said below, without production on submission at trial, the prosecution submit the relevant factor called for a sentence of between 9 and 11 years of the impression. To be further significant during hearing filing the week of 2020 August 2060. A. Maximum penalties. Present to Article 77 of the Roma Statute and Rule 145 of the Ruler of Produce and Enhance the maximum stand of enforcement in the case in the 3 years precedent of Article 77, the rules of 146 and 147. The Chamber must also order a fine of produce or both. B. Sensing factor. Article 28.1 of the statute requests the Chamber when determining the stand to take the account the factor of the guilty of the crime, the individual crime of the content person. Rule 145 on the rules further mandates the total stance must reflect the culpability of the concerned person, and the Chamber must balance the relevant factor in determining the sentence. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ananda. Next agenda is here the resume from the defendants. Are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor, we are ready.
So you can continue with it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. President, Your Honors, learned France, Mr. Prosecutor, in the entire prosecution's team. I thank you for being so patient, and I thank you for listening so attentively. My colleagues and I have tried to do everything to cover all the bases, so to speak, we do not wish to have anything troubling our consciences, and I really should have made the point, but I didn't. Your Honors, I was in the wondering to flesh out one particular idea earlier today. The specific nature of the crime committed by Mr. Ali Ahmadi let be as clear. The man and the woman who now suffer in the Timbuktu, well, I heard mention of shame, the shame that they feel regarding the damage done to their ancestral graves. That was never the intention, but we know that between the intention one of the impact upon another, there can be a quiet gap. When he was asked to go the location and the private and according or rather an explanation of why what was done he did, and he did indeed explain what the expert witnesses of the prosecution said themselves. Yes, the monuments were protected buildings, and yes, those who had to pray legitimately at the shrines offering praise to the saints who would usually go with a certain amount of earth, and ultimately the stability of the buildings was affected. And there was the consultant with the emirs. Then there was the evident Ms. Ahmadi who advised against the destruction of the buildings, and yet he ultimately did take part of the destruction of these buildings directly. The question that we must look at, and my colleagues and I did look this issue, given this context, did not join this group to become the head of Hizbah or anything like that. He said it was we should not have done we did, we committed an evil act by doing we did. Then you have deterrence, and this is preventive or the aspect of sentences. We must ask this question because I tell you very openly that I have spent 33 years as a defense attorney before I then spent sometimes in prosecution, not a particularly long period of time. All too often we see that objective of the sentence are not attained. We know that he betrayed, and there is a video of the internet. We have seen that, and we have read the subtitle: "A Muslim does not betray his brother." so his remorse is sincere. He took a particular course of action and he ultimately became a pariah in the eyes of a former colleagues. I am a, I am amongst those some say I am a great romantic, but I am one of the people who believes that the most best sentences is one that acceptably unlimitedly for what exists. And I'm very sorry to have put this way. I think he is entitled to benefit from presumption of sincerity when we look aroused abruptly. The question is this: it can be put in a few words. What is more serious? What should we consider the more serious thing? What criteria of seriousness will you favor? What is more serious, to pull down walls or to destroy lives, blow up buildings or shut down people? We trust bench and we deliver up to you man. We have provided support to for several months and we do so knowing that we entrusting our client to you and he will be good. I thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you for your statement. The defendants. Our next agenda is verdict and sentences. I want all of you to be present at this trial. Thank you very much.
Rise. All rise. The International Criminal Court is in session. Please be seated.
Okay, today, 27 September 2016, trial chamber 8 of the International Criminal Court delivered its judgment in the case of the prosecutor Ahmad Al-Faqi and Al-Ahmadi. The chambers unanimously found Mr. Ahmadi guilty beyond reasonable doubt as a co-preparation of the war crime consisting in international direct attacks against religious and historic buildings in Timbuktu, Mali in June and July 2012. They did so through a local governance, which included an Islamical tribunal and Islamical police force, a media commission, and a morality brigade called the Hesbah. Mr. Al-Ahmadi was viewed as an expert on matters of religion and was consulted in this capacity, including by the Islamic Tribunal. Mr. Al-Ahmadi was very active in aspect of the Ansar Dan and Akim administration. He led the Hezbollah from this creation in April 2012 until September 2012 and wrote a document on its role and objective. In late June 2012, the leader of Ansar Din, Iyad Akhali, made the decision to destroy the Muslims in consultation with two prominent Akim members, Abdallah al-Shigwati and Yahya Abdul al-Haman. Mr. al-Mahdi was also consulted by Governor of Timbuktu, Abu Zaid, before this decision made was made and expressed his opinion that all Islamic jurists agree on this prohibition and of any contribution over a town, but recommended not destroying the Muslims so as it maintained relation between the population and the occupying group.
In respect of the role played by Mr. Al-Mahdi, the Chamber considered that Mr. Al-Mahdi's contribution collectively qualify as essential. The Chamber found that Mr. Al-Mahdi knew that he exercised joint control over the attack and was fully implicated in its execution. He was the head of the Hezbollah, one of our primary institutions established by Ansar Dine and Akim upon accepting Timbuktu. He had overall responsibility for the execution path of the attack, supervising and execution of the operation using the Hezbollah member and determining the sequence in which the building would be destroyed, making the necessary logistical arrangement and justifying the attack to the border world through media interview. He also was present at all of the attack sites, giving instruction and moral support, and he personally participated in the attack that led to the destruction of at least 5 sites.
To determine the 9-year sentence, the Chamber took into consideration the gravity of the crime, Mr. Ahmadi's culpable conduct, and his individual circumstance. The Chamber also noted that even if inherently grave crimes against property are generally of less gravity than crimes against persons. The Chamber also considered that the target buildings were not only religious buildings, but had also a symbolic and emotional value for the inhabitants of Timbuktu. The Museum of Science and Music of Timbuktu were an integral part of the religious life of inhabitants and constitute a common heritage for the community. They reflect their commitment to Islam and played a psychological role to the extent of being perceived as protecting the people of Timbuktu. Furthermore, all the sites but one were UNESCO World Heritage Sites. As such, the attacks on them appear to be of particular gravity as their destruction doesn't only affect the direct victim of the crimes but also people throughout Mali and the international community. The Chamber also considered 5 mitigating circumstances, namely, first, Mr. Ahmadi's admission of guilt and the fact he showed honest repentance and provided a detailed account of his act. The Chamber noted that his admission of guilt may also further peace and reconciliation in northern Mali elevating of the victim moral, suffering through acknowledgement of the significance of the destruction. Second, Mr. Ahmadi cooperation with the prosecution despite potential security implication for his family in Mali, and the fact that he took responsibility for his action as early as the first day of his interviews with the prosecution, which enabled the parties to reach an agreement sufficiently early in the proceedings. Third, Mr. Ahmadi removes the empathy he expressed with the victims, including his call on people not to become involved in similar conduct and his offer to reimburse that cost of a door that CD Aquam rescue. The fourth, Mr. Ahmadi initial reluctance to commit the crime and the step he took to limit the damage caused by advising against the use of bulldozers to attack the buildings as not to damage the grave next to the mausoleum and make sure the attacks show respect to the construction next to the mausoleum while carrying out of the attack. And the fifth, even if of a limited importance, Mr. Ahmadi good behavior in detention. In order of severely and adequately reflect the moral and economic harm served by the victim of the case and fulfill the objective of sentencing, the Chamber imposed a sentence that deemed proportionate to the gravity for the crime and the individual circumstance and culpability of Mr. Ahmadi.
Okay, so that's our verdict. I hope all the parties involved in this case can accept and respect our final decision. The case is closed. Thank you. And for the court officer, you can continue.
All rise.